Welcome to another edition of the Johnny Ross Show, Creating Music. If you've been watching our show for the past 5 years, you know this show is all about the music business. We talk about how to create demos, how to find your perfect music teacher, how to pick an instrument. And we talk to different people in the music business from time to time and get their experiences and what they've been doing out in the music world. Today in our studio here, we have very special guests. We're going to give you somewhat of a history lesson. We're going to go back and we're going to introduce you to some gentlemen who created the R&B, doo-wop, rock and roll sound. Fellas from right here in Gary, Indiana, Northwest Indiana. Without any further delay, I want to introduce you to the Spaniels. They're here in the studio. And we're going to start with Mr. Wilton Crump here. How you doing, Wilton?
Okay, Johnny, how you doing?
And Billy.
Hey, how you doing, Johnny?
And my friend back here,
Hiawatha.
Hiawatha. We have some other members of the group. We're going to get up just a little bit later because of the restrictions of the size of our stage. We have to take it in kind of segments, so just bear with us. I'm going to start off and talk to Wilton. Wilton has been on the show in the past, and he has been a part of this organization. And I had the pleasure a few weeks back of going out and catching them live.
Yes.
Tell me about the group. Give me some background information.
Okay, well, the Spaniels were really founded in 1953. That's when they came out with their first recording. And I've been with the organization for 2 years as their musical director, and on some occasions I've acted as the lead singer as well.
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen that.
Yeah, so we've had a good time, and I've really enjoyed working with this particular group of guys because they are the original ones that recorded Goodnight Sweetheart. And we've been to places like Pittsburgh, we've been to New Jersey, we've been to Washington, D.C., as well as in Maryland. So it's been really fruitful, and I really enjoy it. It's like living history.
Well, where did this group, I think you, from my knowledge, you came together in a school, in high school.
Right.
What high school was it? Billy, tell us what high school it was.
Oh, Roosevelt.
Oh, my goodness.
Roosevelt.
And you guys, from what I understand, have sold 160 million copies of Goodnight Sweetheart. Is that correct?
That's what I understand.
Yes, that's what I understand.
My goodness. Well, I'd like to hear those figures, 106. Well, see, it lets us see that there are other people besides the Jackson family that have sold that kind of records that come from right here, from Roosevelt.
Right.
Tell me, Bill, when you first got with the group got together, how did you form? You know, was it just by chance?
Well, back in those days, Johnny, we used to go up and down the hallways singing a cappella, you know. And, Boys Glee Club. That's how we got started. We were members of the Boys Glee Club and the mixed chorus. And so we get together. Well, at that time, I called myself a prehistoric Spaniel because Pookie and I had sang together in a group called the 3 Bs, which was a precursor group to the Spaniels. And that's how we met guys like Gerald and Willie C. and everything. We used to get together and harmonize. And so when I graduated in 1952, the guys got together and that's when the Spaniels was legitimately formed with Vivian Carter and Eddie, you know, and her brother Calvin, you know.
Okay. And what was the first label that you guys?
Chance label.
Chance. Okay. Now you got a member back here. This fellow's from another group called the Goldenrods.
Right.
And we're going to talk to him for a few minutes. Your name again is Hiawatha
Burnett.
Burnett. Mr. Burnett, tell us a little something about your group and how you guys got started.
Well, actually, we were very fond of the Spaniels. In fact, they were our idols. And I used to hear them going down the halls singing, never knew them. And we formed our group, as many groups have formed out on the street corners of Gary. And we did this and we did that. And we finally was able to get a good group together, because we had about 9 guys in our group. Right. And I was almost singing soprano at that time.
Oh, boy.
So as we got our group together, the members of our group was Crosby Harris, he was our lead singer. Jesse Rogers, our baritone.
All from right here?
All from Gary, Indiana. Charles Colquitt was our bass. Tremendous voice. We got started basically about 1955. And after the Spaniels left, we were the heir apparents, you know, to 25th Avenue, Gary Roosevelt. And fortunately, we were able to win most of the talent shows, and we went on to record a couple of sides. One of the tunes was Color Cartoons. Flip side was Wish I Was Back in School. And we recorded on the VJ label. That was about 1960.
Well, you know, a lot of us from this era, and I say this era, I'm talking about old school, they call us old school, but we were the ones who created this stuff.
Exactly.
You guys, the Spaniels were the original. You guys didn't steal from anybody. You didn't sample from anybody. You thought it up yourself, and you did it yourself. And as the gentleman that we're getting ready to have on the stage in a few minutes, that the whole world knows just by a simple line at the beginning of a tune, and I'm going to let him do it because I can't do it justice like he can. Well, we're going to take a break, just a little short pause here, and we got something special to show you. Check this out. We'll be right back.
This time I'd like to take you back a little ways. I'm going to take you way back to the time we first got started. I'd like to introduce to you our bass singer, Gerald Gregory. Baritone singer, Billy Shelton. Willie C. played Cool Jackson. And of course, sitting in today, Wilton, Crump, the lead singer. And I'm over coordinator, top 10. Okay, all of you fellas that have that one certain someone that you would like to deal with, I'm sure that you like to say, this is a lovely way to spend the evening. This is a lonely way to spend this is to be with you.
We're back with you one more time. You're watching the Johnny Ross Show, Creating Music. In the studio this week, we're having a conversation with a world-famous group. These guys are ambassadors of music, and we call them ambassadors of Gary, Indiana, and Northwest Indiana. The world-famous Spaniels. Once again, guys, it's a pleasure to have you here. We're going to jump right on Wilton here for a minute and ask you some questions. In my hands, I'm holding a book, and it says, "Good night, sweetheart. Good night." We're going to get a cutaway of this and bring it up. Can you tell us something about the publication, Wilton?
Yeah, the book was written by Richard Carter, and he was a journalist from Milwaukee. He had expressed some interest in the group. He said the Spaniels had been one of his favorite groups of all times, and he was trying to do some research on the group and found out that there was nothing, really a comprehensive collection of the information of the story of the Spaniels that he could find, so that inspired him to write the book. And he came to the guys. Now, this was all done before I actually got in the group, but I have met him. As a matter of fact, the first engagement that I did with the Spaniels was in March of '97, was in New Jersey, and Richard Carter was there. And I got a chance to meet him and another biographer of contemporary music named Todd Batiste. So we had a chance to meet both of those writers. But this particular book is all about the Spaniels. Up until, it's like a pre-Wilton Spaniel. Because I'm not in the book. I'm not in the book. But everything else about the Spaniels, Pookie Hudson and Gerald Gregory and Willie C. Jackson, as well as the other group of Spaniels that took over after some of the original guys had gone to the service or had dropped out of the group.
Well, we have one of the original members right here. And this gentleman, I used to listen to him, and all the girls would run to the stage and all the guys would run to the back of the room because Gerald Gregory was getting ready to sing, and the Spaniels. Gerald, it's a pleasure to have you here on the show. Let me shake your hand.
Thank you, brother.
It's good to see you. What year did you guys start? What year was that again?
1953. Yes, the year we come out of Roosevelt High School. We all graduated together.
And from Roosevelt. Roosevelt has produced some fine folks. Well, you guys are ambassadors for this whole area. You're a class act. You carry yourself perfectly. You're gentlemen, and you're scholars now. And then you're in the history books. They say if you live long enough, you're going to do something. You guys are doing a lot of things now. You revived group. You're working again. As I said, I had a chance to stop by a live performance, and I had my camera with me, and that night we were having trouble with the sound, and we had to use the microphone on the camera. And it wasn't the greatest sound in the world, but you guys are so good, you can sing through 10 cans and sound good.
Coming from you.
So we're going to show our audience a little bit of that, in just a little bit. Tell us what you're doing now, Wilton. You guys are on the boat. I heard you're doing some jobs on the river boats and stuff.
Well, I'm working with two different groups as well as Billy is too. And so we're working with 11th Avenue on some of the boats. But I've been making some phone calls, and as well as some other members of the group, trying to see if we can get some entertainment for the Spaniels to come here. But basically now what the Spaniels have been doing are oldie but goodie shows, and they have something, I call them doo-wop societies all around the country. And what they do is they sell and resell old records and tapes and pictures and memorabilia from the golden era. And there are some that have a different group every month or every 2 months. So
we're seeing that a lot with like the Temptations type of situation.
Yeah, right. But they may have Little Anthony and the Imperials. They may have the Drifters. They may have some of the Coasters. So they have different groups out of that era. My first job that I did in Pittsburgh, I got a chance to meet the Marcells, the ones who did Blue Moon, and I think they have about the second most famous bass line. Gerald Gregory has the first.
Gerald is the tops. Gerald is the tops.
But so they have these various types of groups. So the Spaniels have been doing shows there. I should say on the East Coast primarily with these doo-wop societies.
Okay. I want to jump back to Billy back there. Bill, you work with the organization 11th Avenue.
Yes.
And we had a chance to get some of you guys on tape too. Right. Can you tell us a little bit about your organization and what you guys are into?
Johnny, what we're trying to do is keep the music alive.
Yes.
Because a lot of our kids have never even heard this music. And when we went to England, we were surprised. It took us 45 minutes to get out the parking lot. Kids, teenagers, isn't that right, Gerald? They getting autographs and stuff
That's
like
great.
that. They, all over the world, the youth, they're in tune with this music of the 50s and 60s because it music of a happier time. The country was happier. The times were much better. And everything is like going back to that. So we wanted to perpetuate that. As the Spaniels, we could only do Spaniel tunes, but as 11th Avenue, we can do tribute music to the Drifters and the Platters and the Coasters and the Miracles and, you know, Temptations. And so basically that's what we do.
Well, I'm just elated to have you on the show because, as I said before, you guys started this whole thing. You were the original people that laid the tracks down that turned the whole nation's ears toward the Spaniels. I tell you what, we're going to take a short pause right here, and we're going to talk about some other things. You guys stick around for a few minutes, and we'll be right back.
Right now, this is a song that has taken us, I would say, out of the country, Europe, Japan. I think it sold about 160-some million copies. It's almost a standard now. It was written right here in Indiana. A lot of people have sang this song. McGuire's sister, Sonny Gale. This song has been in 3 Men and a Baby. It's been in quite a few other movies. And we'd like to do it for you right now.
Once again, you're watching the Johnny Ross Show, Creating Music. We have the pleasure to have one of the most famous groups in the studio this week. I'm really happy to have them here. I can't say it enough because these guys have been my idols for a number of years, and I stole more of their licks and more of their runs than they'll ever know. And once again, here they are in the studio, the Spaniels. We're going to jump back to Billy. Billy, give us some a background on what you guys have been doing, your travels, where you've been, and things like that.
All right. First, I wanted to go to Goodnight, Sweetheart, which was written in 1954 by the Spaniels. And what happened, as the custom of those days, a song would have to be covered by a white artist before it would be played on the big station.
Now, you'd see that a lot, even James Brown at one time.
Right. Pat Boone was doing Little Richard.
They had to have a white face on the album cover. Oh, my goodness.
So in our case, it was the McGuire Sisters, about 3 months after it was put out. The Moon Glows took it to the McGuire Sisters. Just happened to, and they happened to hear it and they liked it. So the McGuire Sisters covered it, and it sold 1 million. And later on, years later, Sha-Na, Bow, he did it, and they another 1 million, and all of the money, like Pookie said, the lead singer, Pookie Hudson, said that if we had gotten the money off of the residuals and everything, we'd all be millionaires. But it didn't work that way. But what happened, because of the movie 3 Men and a Baby and all the American Graffiti and Diner and American Hot Wax, they did not play any of the warmed over versions. They all played the original track, which was the Spaniels. And as a result of that, we've been to Radio City, we've been to Universal Studio, the Apollo, we've been to England a couple of times.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just been great.
Well, I'm going to come down here and talk to my hero here. This gentleman sang a bass line that stole the hearts of America. Can you give us just a little bit of that line?
Speaking of Goodnight, Sweetheart.
Yes.
I did have it on my mind, I could say. 5 notes was given to me from God himself, simply because it didn't come through my head where I knew it was coming, know what it sounded like and all. He just let it come through me. And when it come through me, it come out, da, 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 da.
Oh, look out. That's it. Show's over. I'm ready to go. This is the man who did those 5 notes, the original 5 notes, and it'll live forever. Your sound will be around for centuries, believe me. And I'm very proud to have you here. I'm going to wind up with my friend here. Well, I call him, this is my twin brother. Of course, he's the oldest one.
I had something I wanted to tell you about Gerald. When we were playing in Maryland, we were part of a high school performance, and it was at the Churchill School. So we had done a rehearsal the night before, and the next day they gave us an opportunity to talk with the students. So they were in the auditorium, and they were asking the typical questions about how did you get started and who does most of the writing, have you done a religious album or what have you. Then one little girl raised her hand. We're talking about teenagers now, and so we said, yes, what is your question? She said, is the bass man married?
Look out. Well, I want to hold this up to the camera real quick. This is a CD. It's Street Carols. This was a Christmas album.
Right.
And who did you have on this with you?
Oh, Jerry Butler. We had the Shy Lights. We had the lead singer of the Diamonds. We had Ronnie Spector.
My goodness.
We had Stormy Weather, and that was a Canterbury production.
Right. Well, I tell you what, I always ask the people that come on the show if they have any advice for the young folks. I know you're involved in bringing new acts and new artists onto the scene, and we're going to be working in the future, bringing some of these folks on the show, and actually talking about their careers and how we're going to push these folks, and how we're going to put the music scene here in Gary back on the map. I support live music.
Right.
And I wish everybody out there would support live music. Put music in your life. It'll make you feel better. We are running short on time again. It always happens that way. But maybe I can get you guys to come back at another date. My idol, can I shake your hand one more time? I shook the hand that shook the world. We got to get out of here. I'm Johnny Ross, your host. We're going to be back with a brand new show. Is that right, bro?
That's right.
Okay. Until then, keep watching the Johnny Ross Show and keep creating music.
Johnny Ross. All right.